Have you ever ran a race without training for it? Is it okay? Hey, I'm Coach Lisa, and if you're new here to my channel, I'm here to help you put the fun in your run. And if you're back, thanks so much for coming back and listening to all the good stuff I have to share with you. Doing a race without training for it. You know, is it good? Is it bad? What's the verdict? So I've actually done it. I think it really just depends on the situation. So I will definitely say there are times that I have not trained for a race, and the reason that that has happened is for a few reasons. First of all, a lot of times a race might actually be a training run for maybe my big A race. And so for example, if I'm training for, let's just say maybe a half marathon, I might use a 10K because 6 miles is going to be in my plan at some point to actually use that race as a training run. So I guess you kind of are training for it anyway, but that could be a reason why you wouldn't really actually race the race. Another reason might be, you know, I feel really confident in my running form, and I'm also an experienced runner. I've been running for many years. So I have done that where maybe I've decided to sign up for a half marathon, not really following a plan for it. However, I'm very confident that my technique's going to help me from being injured, and I'm pretty active in general. I definitely would not recommend that if you're a brand new runner. And if you don't really, you've never really worked on your form, to just go out there and do a race without. Of course, the distance really makes a difference as well, right? Not training for a 5K versus not training for a half marathon or above, two really different situations. Another reason I might not train for a race is because I may have already done that distance, and again, I'm an experienced runner, so I might feel just more confident in the fact that I know I've done several, say, half marathons, so doing another one isn't really that big and scary for me anymore. So even though I'm saying it's okay to run a race without training for it, I really do believe that there's a lot of goodness that comes from training for a race, and personally that's what I find really most fun. One of the fun things I love about running, it's not really so much about the race, it's really about the journey and how you got there. So one of the major reasons why I really enjoy training for a race is because it really just gives you a lot more confidence when you get there at the start line. I always tell my true tribe, I'm not going to train you to win the race. That's not why we're here. I'm going to train you to have fun, and I'm going to train you so that when you get to the start line, you're injury free and you're excited to run your race and you're feeling confident about it. When you start and you've done all the training, or most of it, you know, you don't ever get 100% of the training in, but if you've done most of your training, you're going to be physically prepared because your body's used to running that kind of mileage. You're also going to be mentally prepared because you're going to be confident, and you're going to remember those days that you had to wake up really early to go run your long run on a Saturday, or maybe one of those days that you didn't want to. So you're practicing the mental and physical skills that you need for your half marathon during your training. So I think that's a really big reason, if not one of the biggest reasons, why you really want to train for a race. I always say the finish line is so much sweeter if you've trained for the race. Imagine doing your first half marathon, not really training for it, just throwing it out there, maybe getting a couple of runs in. I hear people do that a lot. And then finishing, and maybe you finish, but you know, you're probably not going to be really feeling that good if you haven't trained physically and mentally. You might actually hate the whole process and decide you never want to run again. And I don't want that to happen because running is so amazing. And imagine a different situation. Like I said earlier, you've put the time in, you know, you've done the early morning runs, you've done all the hard work. And so when you cross that finish line, it's going to be so much sweeter and feel so much better. And so that's really one of the big reasons why I feel you really should train for a race. You know, again, I train for my races most of the time, especially if it's a distance I've never done before. But, you know, let's just say, for example, I actually figured this out once for Rockies race last year. It was a 6-day stage race, 125 miles over 6 days. First time for me, and I calculated what my training plan was and actually the actual runs that I did for my training plan. And I did about 86% of the plan. So I still went into that feeling pretty confident. I always tell people doing 100% of the plan is ideal. Of course, that includes strength training, the running, the stretching, the mobility exercises. Doing 100% is ideal, but is it really realistic? Not all the time. For some people, you know, they get it done and they just really love to stick to a plan. Sometimes life happens. So finding that balance is really where you need to be. And of course, that's where a coach comes in. That's what I do a lot for, you know, my true tribe, is helping them know when they might need to make some changes to their plan. And any coach would help you do that. So there's my answer to the question. And hey, I'm curious to find out, what other things do you want me to talk about on my channel? I'd love for you to leave some comments down below and let me know how else I can help make running more fun for you.